The bulldozer blade was already pressed up against my wind turbine when I pulled into my own wheat field at 6:47 in the morning, the kind of metal-on-metal screech that makes your teeth ache. 17 people, can you believe it, milling around like they own the place. HOA board members with their clipboards, a demolition crew that looked more bored than dangerous. And, of course, somebody with a camera big enough to shoot the evening news. The fog was still clinging to the dirt, not even burned off yet. And there she was, Prudence Blackthorne, president of the Willerage HOA, looking like she was about to evict God himself, decked out in a cream pants suit and pearls so shiny I could count her veneers from 50 feet away. Mr. Redford, she boomed, making sure the camera caught every syllable. This is your final warning. 100 grand fine, or she'd level my turbines right then and there. Now, here's the kicker. My phone read 6:48 in 12 minutes. The grid I designed would kick in for the morning power surge. Every coffee maker and electric car charger in the county sucking juice, 73% of that coming straight from the turbines she was itching to bulldoze. I looked Prudence dead in the eye, told her to glance up at her own house glowing on the ridge. In 11 minutes, if you do this, the whole neighborhood goes dark, especially yours. She didn't buy it. People like her never do. You ever face someone so drunk on their own power they forget the laws of physics or federal property? Yeah, that was the day for me. Before we dive deeper, go ahead, drop a comment if you've got your own HOA war story, and smash that like button if you think standing up to folks like Prudence is worth it. Now let's rewind 6 weeks so I can show you exactly how a veteran ended up controlling the power grid for the very people who wanted him gone. 6 weeks earlier, I was just another guy in the field, watching the last of my 5 wind turbines go up against the September sky. My crew? All veterans, all stubborn. Samuel Wright, running the crane with one leg, and a smile, and Benjamin Cross, ex-Navy, wiring up transformers faster than most folks can tie their boots. It wasn't just about clean power. It was about giving folks like us a shot at something bigger than ourselves. See, 3 years back I stumbled on the Rural Energy Independence Act. Government offered up abandoned military land to vets who could turn it into renewable energy projects. 5 years to turn a profit, or you lost the land. My place. 247 acres of Cold War bunkers, more copper and conduit than most folks see in a lifetime, and wind studies from the 60s, showing perfect conditions year-round. The last guy bailed. Local complications, the file said. I figured I'd be different. By the 3rd week, we'd lit up the children's hospital, got the senior center's cooling bill slashed in half, and suddenly the crazy vet on the old comms land was a local hero. Then Prudence showed up in a Bentley, her heels clicking across the gravel. She called my turbines industrial blight, waved around maps that supposedly put me under HOA jurisdiction, never mind the fact it was federal land. Her smile had an edge to it, promising a fight. My husband owns Blackthorne Traditional Power. You might want to consider that before you make trouble. That night, Benjamin pulled up HOA records showing every renewable project in the county had been shut down, zoning complaints, environmental violations, you name it. It was a racket, plain and simple, keeping the Blackthorns rich and everyone else in the dark. I set up security cameras, expecting trouble, and the fines started pouring in. Scenic view violations, wildlife distress, shadow flicker, $30,000 in a week for nonsense nobody could prove. The twist came with Harrison Cooper, county electrical inspector, Vietnam vet, handshake like a bear trap. He did a thorough inspection, whispered that Prudence had been filing complaints before. I'd even poured the foundation and started dropping by with intel, stories about neighbors run out by bogus fines, families bankrupted for daring to install solar panels. When I posted for legal help, Margaret Walsh answered, a Boston prosecutor turned Midwest environmental lawyer, eyes sharp enough to cut steel. She laid it out. Racketeering, shell companies, a system built to crush competition and snatch up properties at rock-bottom prices. But the real surprise was Honest Abe Jefferson, retired federal judge with a Cadillac that got 6 miles a gallon. He'd been fined for flying the American flag. Told Prudence she could try climbing the pole herself if she wanted it down. You got federal authority, son, he said, and that scares her more than anything. That sent me digging through decades of county records. Hidden in a dusty folder was the original federal charter. My land never left federal jurisdiction, protected as critical infrastructure since 1954. The escalation turned ugly. Security cameras caught someone, 5'6", designer boots, sabotaging my turbines at 3 a.m. False complaints to the FAA, made-up environmental violations. Bogus bird deaths, you name it. Every attack forced me to waste hours on paperwork, but it also built my case. Margaret tracked every incident, prepping for a federal lawsuit. When the $100,000 fine landed, based on an ordinance that didn't even exist yet, I called my old commanding officer, now at the Department of Energy. What I didn't know? My wind farm had been quietly folded into a classified federal grid protection program. Anyone sabotaging it was committing a federal crime. So that brings us back to that morning. The fog, the bulldozer, Prudence preening for the cameras. But what nobody knew was that hidden in the deepest part of my bunker was a titanium tube, sealed since Eisenhower, holding a document that said any attempt to interfere with operations here was, quote, domestic terrorism. Margaret's hands shook when she read it. If she goes through with this, she's done. Instead of trying to stop her, I decided to let her cross the line. We set up hidden cameras, secured evidence off-site, and called in the cavalry, FBI, Department of Energy, the whole alphabet soup. At sunrise, every ally I'd made was there, Harrison with his inspection kit, Margaret streaming everything to the cloud, Abe in his army uniform, Samuel in the driver's seat of the backup generator. By 6:15, the road was lined with cars, demolition equipment, HOA board members, news vans, the whole county watching. Prudence strutted up, demanded her money, and threatened court-ordered demolition. I handed her the federal charter, explained the stakes, and she laughed it off for the camera, ordered the bulldozer forward. The operator hesitated, then scraped the turbine, just enough. And that's when the black SUVs appeared. FBI agents everywhere. This is a federal crime scene, Agent Washington announced, badges flashing in the sun. Prudence, her husband, the board, they were all detained. Mitchell tried to run and was arrested on the spot. The news crew caught it all. At 7 sharp, my turbines powered up for the morning surge, keeping the county's lights on while the woman who tried to destroy them was being hauled off in handcuffs. By noon, the story was viral: federal raids, corruption, the fall of the Blackthorn monopoly. Inside the courthouse, Margaret showed me leaked photos of the Blackthorn office, years of plans to sabotage renewable energy, millions in bribes, correspondence with coal interests, even foreign companies. Their daughter Rebecca, black sheep of the family, showed up with hard drives full of evidence, ready to testify. The Department of Energy wanted my help to prosecute, not just the Blackthorns, but the whole web of corruption. I said yes. On one condition: every family destroyed by these scams would get restitution. In the end, the jury took 2 hours. 18 years for Prudence, 22 for Mitchell, restitution for every family. They ruined all their assets seized to build a community cooperative, wind, solar, natural gas backup, the whole 9 yards. A year later, the wind farm had doubled, energy costs had plummeted, and the old Blackthorn mansion was a museum to energy independence. Harrison ran operations, Samuel trained vets, Margaret and I were expecting our first kid, middle name Phoenix. Even Abe, at 85, sat on the board. You want to know the best part? Every night, lights out at the federal prison is powered by wind and solar from the very turbines Prudence tried to kill. Some nights, I imagine her lying there in the dark, realizing who really controls the switch. But don't get too comfortable. There's always another Prudence out there, another Mitchell. This story isn't just about revenge. It's about community, justice, and proving you can't bully your way out of the truth. So, here's my question. If you had the power to shut out the people who tried to destroy you, would you use it? Drop your answer below. Was justice served, or does the real fight start now? Let's hear it in the comments.